Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Gareth. This is Tech Check. It's like deja vu. We've got the same computer back in the studio again, but it's for good reason. Nothing because he wasn't happy or it wasn't working correctly. He said everything was perfect. He's gone out and actually bought another motherboard and some new RGB fans to replace the ones that are currently in this computer. So stick with me. New Asus X570 Tough Pro Wi-Fi motherboard install and these 6 RGB fans from Uphere. Links for these will be down in the description. Let's get building. So now that we took those 3 fans out at the top and the all-in-one cooler, the 2 fans at the front and the motherboard has come out, we've got all the panels off. Make it as easy as you can, guys. Make sure that you've got as much light, you remove things at any time, and if you're not sure about the particular connections, take some photos or even a video so you've got something to refer back to when you come to install the cables on your new motherboard. That brings us nicely on to that, and as I said previously, this is X570 Pro Wi-Fi Tough Gaming motherboard from Asus. Guys, absolutely fantastic value motherboard this. It's 1st gen, 2nd gen, 3rd gen Ryzen ready, so whether you've got whatever CPU you want to use with AMD, you can chuck it into this particular motherboard. It doesn't require a BIOS update either. Now that's not to say that you wouldn't benefit from one, but it doesn't require one if you want to chuck in a 5000 series CPU or a 3000 series CPU. It will just work straight out the box, which is absolutely fantastic. Some of the other benefits at the back here, we've got Aura Sync, which we expect as standard. BIOS flashback, absolutely fantastic. This doesn't actually come with all the Tough series motherboards, but the Pro version it does. And I can tell you now, guys, it's an absolute lifesaver at times. So if you're looking to obviously invest in a decent motherboard, make sure that it has got BIOS flashback, because if you run into any issues, you can obviously upgrade it or you can flash it back if required. In terms of M.2, it actually supports Gen 4 PCIe as well, so up to 6,000-7,000 megabytes per second. Absolutely lightning quick, guys. And like I said, this is going to be fantastic for that. It is also 2.5G LAN connection, and not to mention that it's also the Wi-Fi version as well. So loads of other connections, guys. I'm not going to bore you to death with regards to this. I will leave a link down in the description if you are interested. But for me, I think this is one of the best valued X570 motherboards out there. Don't get me wrong, it's not got all of the latest and greatest sparkling RGB here, there and everywhere. But from chipset to actual features that you're going to benefit from, for price for performance is absolutely fantastic. What we're going to do now then, guys, is we're just going to take out our motherboard, place it on top of the box, have a look at some of the other bits and bobs inside, and then we'll get that installed into the case. So IO shield, guys, dead easy. Open that up, and then all we want to make sure is that we orientate it the correct way. We shove it to the back of the actual case, and then you just press it into place and you should hear a click. Now before you actually install the motherboard into the case, guys, I would advise install your CPU, your RAM and your M.2 boot drives onto the board. Because I'm feeling pretty fruity today, we're going to do it back to front. So I'm going to put this inside of the actual case. We're going to line it up, make sure it's standing off of all the standoffs. Yep, there we go. And what we're going to do now, guys, is get the 9 screws and install all 9. I'm not going to bore you to death with that, but I'm going to make sure that all 9 are firmly in place. Thank God for that. All screws are now in place. Our motherboard is safe and secure, not going anywhere. So first thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to get our CPU nicely seated back into the actual socket. So first thing we need to do is match up the triangle on the CPU with the triangle that is on the particular socket. Lowering your CPU. There we go, and then we can lock it down into position. Moving on to our RAM, guys, and as you can see, there's a little groove in our stick of RAM here. It's more to the left than there is the right. We just need to match that with the groove that's located on our DIMM slot. So go ahead and we can populate all of our sticks of RAM. Put each one in and then firm pressure on either side until you hear a click. There we go, and we just need to do that for 2nd, 3rd and 4th slots. we'll go ahead now and install our M.2, that SSD 980. So the first thing we do, guys, when we install our SSD is we just need to line it up, put it at a 45-degree angle, place it inside, and then we will be able to see where we need to actually place a standoff. And as you can see, it's going to be this one here. So if you take your standoff, you'll find this in your motherboard box, and we can then go ahead and install the standoff. We can then put it back in at a 45-degree angle, and as you can see now, we've got something to actually screw down into. You can then take the screw that came with the standoff, push down on the SSD, and then just secure it into place. So I've decided, guys, we're going to remove that Corsair 120 all-in-one, and we're going to go back to actually using this particular cooler here, which is the standard AMD cooler. It performed absolutely fine when we actually did the tests on the last one. In actual fact, it was the exact same temperature as the 120 all-in-one. It will give us a little bit better of an aesthetic to look at, and as long as it's not going to hinder us performance-wise, we should have no issues at all. As I said previously, it has got these 4 copper heat pipes, huge base down here. This will need actually cleaning before we actually apply it, and then all we're going to do is we're going to apply some clean, new, fresh thermal paste and make sure that you've got enough on there so that we've got a good contact. Right, let's get some thermal paste in the middle down here. Nice little blodge in the middle. I don't think we need quite as much as what we had previously. That went absolutely everywhere. All we've got to do in order to install this, guys, is make sure that, quite simply, we have got it orientated the correct way, which means that our AMD logo is in the top left-hand corner. And all we're simply going to do is hook one of these across here and then the other one across here. And once it's hooked on, we're going to pull this lever from one side to the other side, which will basically tighten it up. So now that you've got that side clipped on, guys, and then you pull this side on down here, we can then pull this clip all the way to one side to make sure that we get a good connection. And there you are. Absolutely fine. We can then go ahead and hide our cable as best as we can. Starting to look slightly different now, especially with the different cooler. I think we will benefit though by having the 2 front intakes down here, and then the 3 exhaust at the top, and then the rear exhaust as well. I think it will look slightly better as well without that dated 120 all-in-one. The rubber was starting to look a little weird, and if it's not offering any performance benefits, then we might as well go with the same but with a better of aesthetic to look at as well. So let's get these top 3 fans, these front 2 fans and this rear exhaust fan, dead straightforward, guys. All we're literally going to do is top base panel. We're just going to put all 3 fans in, and then we're just going to slide it in as we did previously, making sure that all of our actual cables are to the rear of the case so we can easily cable manage them. Same for the front and same for the rear. And I'll be back in a few minutes once we've screwed all 4, 8, 12, 16, 24 screws in place. So before we actually go ahead and install these fans, guys, I will just tell you they are the T7SYC7-6. Again, link for these will be down in the description, but very straightforward. Let's just get them out of the box. Let's give you a quick look around them before we actually install them. So let's open this box. We've got our usual Chinese instructions. It's just a couple of pictures, not really going to be too informative there, guys. We've got our Uphere control box, which looks a damn sight, and I'll compare it to the other one. It looks like a damn sight better and a better quality one as well. We've got all of our screws for our fans, which are there. We've got a couple of zip ties to tidy up our cables, and then we've actually got our fans themselves. There we go. Let's get that out the way. And these do look a lot nicer than those other fans as well, guys. So even though they are Uphere ones, they do look a damn sight nicer than the other ones. So hopefully, not only are they going to look nicer, but they'll also perform slightly better as well. Now, what I can tell you is these are around £42 for 6 fans, including the controller as well. So quick maths, it's about £6 a fan, and then you're also paying for the controller 36 quid, give or take 5-6 quid for the actual controller. So with this controller as well, guys, you can hook it up to any addressable 5-volt header on your motherboard as well. So if you've got something like a Asus Aura, or you've got something like a MSI that's got the 5-volt addressable headers, then fine. It won't hook up to a 12-volt addressable header. You'll end up actually blowing the fans no good whatsoever. So there you go, guys. That's a quick look at these particular fans. As I said previously, you've got a 4-pin PWM connection, which is there, which is absolutely fantastic. And then you've got this 5-volt addressable header that we can daisy chain all together and hopefully just have one connection on our motherboard. But if we looked at that one and then we compared that to this particular fan here, you can see not only the blade design much different, but the actual case and housing is a lot different as well. I can tell you this one is twice as heavy as what this one is. In terms of the connections, you've just got this proprietary 6-pin cable here that goes into this particular connection, which is here. Pretty standard, pretty straightforward, guys. Nothing too problematic. It's just quite a basic RGB fan and controller, whereas this one looks a lot different, a little bit more upmarket, and it probably can be controlled a little easier as well. So CPU fan can click into here, fan 1, fan 2, fan 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so 8 fans. That's pretty good. That's pretty good, to be fair. And everything can connect into this particular thing here. So your PWM and your 3-pin addressable header. And then you're just going to have one cable that's going to your motherboard. So you've got a motherboard sync cable there. You've got one PWM connection, which is there. And then it's powered via SATA there as well. So quite like that. That's pretty nice. Let's get it installed and let's actually see whether it's easy to install as well. Right, there we are. So essentially, guys, I'm turning it around this way. We've got it as set as exhaust. All we're literally going to do is we're just going to, if I can find the hole, we're just going to line them up like that, and then that's going to slide into the top of the case. As we said previously, making sure that all our cables from our fans are on this side, so we can pull them through to the back of the case also. We can get the front two and the rear one. I'm not going to bore you to death with that, guys. Very straightforward, just 4 screws and making sure that the orientation of the fan is correct as well. I'll see you back here once we've got all of these 6 fans installed. It already looks 3 times different just by having a different dynamic in terms of 2 front intake, 3 exhaust at the top and this exhaust at the back with this AMD tower cooler already. So all I've done, guys, is I've reinstalled our USB-C and our power connectors, 24-pin and our EPS power cable. I need to go ahead and secure our fans in place there, and then we'll go ahead and hook up our controller at the back. See if it's as easy as they say it is. One diagram, it says. So once you peeled that off, guys, just stick it somewhere which is not going to come loose, and somewhere where your back panel can actually still be closed off as well, guys. You don't want to put it here because we don't have sufficient room for the panel to close securely. That's why I've stuck it here. We have got 2 of these little panels that we are going to replace after the fact. So essentially, guys, all that we've got here, okay, is dead straightforward. We have got some SATA power, which we can go ahead and connect SATA to. Dead straightforward. So that's now got SATA power. We've then got 2 other cables, guys. One of which I'm going to remove because we're not going to use. Essentially, this is a reset button here. So reset switch, which is there. And essentially, you can use this as a clicker to actually change the colors on the actual fans. We're not going to be using that at all. We're going to be hooking this up to our motherboard with the sync cable through the 5-volt addressable header, and then also a 4-pin PWM connection to our motherboard as well, so we can control all the fans in the BIOS. So let's go ahead now then, guys, and just walk you through what we're going to do and how we can make sure all of these are going to act as we want them to. So we're going to call this bottom fan down here number 1, then number 2, 3, 4, 5, and then number 6. So essentially, guys, what we want to do is we want to take our 5-volt addressable header for fan number 1, and we want to plug it into number 1. Next to that, there's a 4-pin PWM connection just next to it, and you want to put those into number 1. Then for number 2, you want to put them into number 2, number 3, number 3, number 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, and 6. So as we said then, guys, this needs to be connected to a PWM header on our motherboard. And luckily enough, right next to our CPU header, we've also got another one as well. So we can go ahead and connect that. There we go. So that's our PWM on there. And then we also want a 5-volt addressable header. And luckily enough, we've got one which is just here. Please do not connect it to the 12-volt. That is incorrect. So just line up the 2 and the 1 with the 2 and the 1 like that, and then shove it on, and you will be able to then control all of your fans via your motherboard software. Let's get that graphics card, guys, in, and then we can tidy all the cables up afterwards. Let's just turn it on and see what everything looks like. And does it all work? Oh, let's get this graphics card back in. So dead straightforward, guys. All we got to do is open our PCIe lane, line it up like so, wait for a click, and then we can replace the 2 screws and attach our 6 and 8-pin power just here. So I'm actually really happy with regards to how that's actually come together, guys. I'm really pleased with regards to these Uphere fans, and the new control box, guys, is absolutely fantastic. The motherboard sync cable as well as the PWM, so you can control everything via PWM in the BIOS, is fantastic, and also controlling all of the RGB via your motherboard software is even better as well, so you can have one coherent theme if you wish to do that. So I'm really happy with regards to how it's all come out up here. The back could be better, but I'll let the customer deal with regards to that. As far as I'm concerned, the front is what we need to concentrate on, and now that it's nice and clean, and well, it's not going to get much better than this. What I want to do is get everything put back together. I want to get some power plugged into it, and then I want to give you guys a quick look at what does it actually look like, so you can leave some comments down below. And I personally think having this AMD cooler back and having the 4 exhaust fans and the 2 intake fans, even though it's negative pressure, I still think we'll do better than what we had with that 120 all-in-one. So leave your comments down below if you disagree, but let's crack on. Oh, thank the Lord. Now, it does look a little terrible at the minute, guys, because we've got a blue RGB strip, we've got 6 green fans, and then we've got an RGB AMD cooler, which is stuck in the middle as well. But essentially, guys, what would happen here, you can change the colour of the RGB strip. You would then change the Uphere RGB fans to match the motherboard. And if you chucked on a little bit of rainbow puke, everything, including the RGB off of the GPU, would all be in sync as well. So that's the only thing I would say when you are actually putting these RGB components together. Make sure that they are quite easy to all sync up. I know that I've had somewhere, I've had an MSI motherboard, I've had Corsair RAM, I've had something else which has been Asus, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, I've got 4 different things that are open at any one time. One thing's trying to control the other thing, and it's a constant battle. So I'm really happy that, number 1, it's been fairly straightforward. Number 2, this young man is a lucky boy. I tell you what, Chris, you do half bloody treat him, mate, because he's got a whopper of a system here. 3070, 3950X, brand new motherboard, all new fans throughout. And yeah, he's not doing too bad at all. So guys, I'm hoping that you've seen some value in the video. If you have, then smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe because it really helps me out. Have a great weekend, and I'll definitely see you in another one.